So constitutionally, what did the 50 wise men do wrong to have made this whole system look so awful for us as a people?
You see, it is not the Constitution that is bad per se. It is the operators of the Constitution. Because when you look at the Constitution, it has its checks and balances. A governor must present his appropriation bill to the House. The House must scrutinize it. The House has its, other functions to do. But because the party has a stronghold, or who becomes the speaker, or this thing, because the governor is so powerful, everybody kowtows to the governor. So that the constitutional provisions that allow for checks and balances are not there again. So it is the abuse of the Constitution by the operators that is the bane of our society. It is not the Constitution per se. Our Constitution is geared towards the American system. And we see how it works in America.
In other words, if we keep amending the Constitution or changing the Constitution and we don't check those who abuse the Constitution, we'll still be in the same cycle, the same problem.
I mentioned it on this program once that the whole history of America, there are just not more than 23 amendments. Nigeria today, we are contemplating over 200 amendments in the Constitution, which is unnecessary. There's nothing wrong with the Constitution per se. It is the operators of the Constitution that have bastardized it.
That reminds us, what about this? There was so much hue and cry about that the criminal justice system, the penal code, wherein John Yakubu was sentenced to, he just 750,000 naira.
Okay, you see, I'm happy you asked me this question. You ask yourself, why should the prosecutors prosecute him under that section? That's the first question you should ask yourself. They are now crying far, far, far. But they started the whole thing. Why did you not charge him for stealing straightforward on a 5-year term, sentence minimum?
The EFCC Act or the Constitution?
No, under the criminal penal code. There are other areas there.
So the same penal code?
Yeah, they can use. You see, that section 390 or what they used says 2 years imprisonment, maximum.
Yes.
Or, in the alternative, a fine. Why did you charge him under that section? When actually you knew, now you are charging him for false declaration. Why didn't you do that before? Under that EFCC Act, it's a draconic law. Once you are caught by EFCC, they give you a form to fill. Once you fill a false information in that form, it is 5 years imprisonment. That's what they have taken him for now.
So from that form, even before they proceed on examining the case that they had initially,
they will
they could have started off with this one.
They will give you a form. Tell us where all your money is, what banks you have, how many houses do you have. That form under the EFCC Act, if you put any false claim there, it's 5 years. Why didn't they charge him just on that alone? But you see, the problem in his case, also, I blame the judge.
Why?
I blame the judge because he has a discretion. He is not stuck on the alternative. The alternative comes in law when there is nothing you can do on the main thing. The main thing says 2 years imprisonment.
Yeah.
The alternative is a discretion of the judge. Now you ask yourself, how did he come by that discretion? Somebody who has stolen 25 billion, you first look at the amount of money he has stolen. It's so huge. Why should he now go to the alternative?
Yeah, they said it was plea bargain, and in a plea bargain, you can't have maximum
When you
sentence.
plea bargain, you can give him 6 months. The important thing is sentence him to prison. At least that's not the first plea bargain we have in Nigeria. Igbinedon, plea bargain. He went for 6 months imprisonment, incarceration. Why are you asking this man not to be incarcerated? Even if it's for 6 months, Nigerians will not cry so much now. They will say, he should have been giving him this. But at least to say you should not be incarcerated, and look at the audacity the man had, sat down in court, made 2 phone calls. Within 30 minutes, 750,000 naira was on his table. Within an hour, he walked out. It's a slap on the face of Nigerians. And I blame the judge. He never, with due respect to him, exercised that discretion the law gives him. Because the law says 2 years. Then he will have said, I am not, although I am aware of the fact that you have refunded so much, I'm aware, but the amount involved is so huge. I cannot give you the alternate, fine. Go to 6 months imprisonment. Every Nigerian will be honest.
Okay.
And will be happy about it.
We'll come back and talk about that a little more, but we have Shion Oyeweso, who is a professor of history and international relations from Lagos State University. He's got an opinion about the centenary celebration. Morning, Prof, and thank you for joining us. What do you think about the celebrations? I mean, Mr. Clarke says, well, if we were to mark it, no problems with that, but celebrating it with so much fanfare, in the midst of the fact that you have a lot of Nigerians who think there are other issues perhaps we should address, if not alongside or preceding the celebration, if at all there should be any.
The leadership of the Nigerian state, for its own reasons, has decided that it's going to celebrate the existence of the Nigerian nation as 100. For people like us who are students of history, our candid position is that we are just celebrating our servitude. We are celebrating our enslavement. We are celebrating our of development. What is worth celebrating about Nigeria at 100? Have we made spectacular breakthroughs in science, engineering, and technology? Have we made spectacular breakthrough in medicine? Have we made any major progress, even in terms of human development? So for the amount of money involved in centenary celebration should have been invested wisely in human development, in energy, in science and technology. Today, our best doctors are outside the shores of this country, and they are progressing, making satisfactory progress in other climes and other societies. The celebration ought to have asked fundamental questions about the existence of Nigerian state. Are we really a nation? Are there fundamental questions that people believe today that we have not really answered? The critical issue is that those people that are in the corridor of power today and those people that have captured power for their own selfish and personal gains decide that the best for them is to be wasting billions of naira of taxpayers' money in Hollywood and all categories of people who are not interested in the future advancement of this Nigerian nation.
Let me jump in there, Prof, if you will. What is wrong with marking it and not necessarily celebrating with the fanfare?
People are asking, are we staying together? Yes, we believe in the existence of the Nigerian nation. I'm a firm believer in the sanctity of the Nigerian nation. Then if there are anomalies in Nigerian federalism, if there are anomalies in the way we have structured our governance today, let us resolve all those questions right now before you now continue to waste billions of naira on so-called celebration. That is not what Nigerians need today. We need to address critical issues of employment, of unemployment, on other unemployment. We need to tackle corruption and make sure that those people who have corrupted in the Nigerian state